is a stretch of abandoned railroad tracks outside Charleston, South Carolina. The rails are gone now. The crosties rot in the weeds. But something still moves there after dark. The locals call it the Summerville Light. They've been seeing it since the 1950s. A small blue-green orb that drifts between the trees, grows, hovers, and sometimes charges straight at whoever's watching. For 70 years, people have tried to explain it. Swamp gas. Car headlights. Pranks. None of the explanations stuck. The light kept appearing. And so did the stories. The oldest story belongs to a woman, a widow. They say she walks the tracks at night with a lantern searching for her husband's body. He worked for the railroad. The train that killed him never stopped. She never found all of him. That's what the story says. So she comes back. Every night. Still looking. The light is her lantern, swinging through the darkness between the rails. It's a good ghost story. The kind that gets passed down through generations, repeated around campfires, whispered to teenagers parked on dark roads. But in January 2025, a scientist looked at the same story and saw something else entirely. Susan Hough is a seismologist with the United States Geological Survey. She spent decades studying earthquakes, how they move, what they break, and what strange phenomena they leave behind. When she heard about the Summerville Light, she didn't think ghost. She thought about the ground beneath those abandoned tracks. She thought about what happens to rock under pressure. The Charleston-Summerville area sits on one of the most seismically active zones in the entire eastern United States. Most people don't know that. The big earthquakes are rare. But the small ones never stop. In 1886, an earthquake nearly destroyed Charleston. It was one of the most powerful ever recorded in the eastern half of the country. The ground still hasn't settled. Between 1959 and 1960, 3 earthquakes between magnitude 3.5 and 4.4 struck within a few kilometers of where witnesses first reported the Summerville Light. The timing is not a coincidence. That's when the sightings began. The 1950s and 1960s, right after those earthquakes shook the ground beneath the old railroad corridor. Right when the fault lines started talking. Earthquake lights. That's what Howe suspected. It's a phenomenon that scientists argued about for centuries. Glowing orbs and flashes that appear before, during, or after seismic events. For most of history, scientists dismissed earthquake lights as folklore. Too strange, too inconsistent. Too much like ghost stories. Then someone finally photographed them. In 1965, cameras in Nagano, Japan, captured clear images of earthquake lights during a seismic swarm. The photographs changed everything. The lights were real. The question became, what causes them? The leading theory involves pressure. When certain types of rock are stressed, squeezed, twisted, fractured, they can release electric charges. The electrons flow upward. They ionize the air, and sometimes they glow. Research has found that 97% of documented earthquake lights occur near vertical faults. The geometry matters. The rock type matters. The Summerville area has both. Hough proposed another possibility. Shallow earthquakes might release gases trapped in the rock radon, methane, which could ignite from static electricity or friction. Underground fires rising to the surface. But there's another layer to the Summerville mystery. The old railroad tracks weren't just removed, they were abandoned in place. And when rail companies upgrade their lines, they don't always clean up after themselves. You got heaps of steel out there. Hough noted in her research. Old rails. Discarded spikes. Metal buried in the earth. Sparks might be part of the story. Metal under seismic stress. Gases escaping from fractured rock, electrical charges seeking ground through iron deposits, the ingredients for something that looks exactly like a ghost carrying a lantern. The witnesses describe something consistent, a small light, blue or green, ball-shaped. It appears in the distance, grows brighter, hovers for several minutes. Sometimes it approaches, then it vanishes. The lights grow to basketball size. They hover for minutes at a time. Some witnesses report the orbs rushing toward them before disappearing entirely. The behavior matches other documented earthquake lights. Earthquake lights have been documented throughout history. The earliest known report comes from Japan the year 869 CE during the devastating Jogan earthquake and tsunami. More recently, during the 2009 L'Aquila earthquake in Italy, witnesses saw 4-inch flames of light flickering above the streets in the moments before the ground shook. The phenomenon appears worldwide. The Marfa lights in Texas, the Hessdalen lights in Norway, the Brown Mountain lights in North Carolina. Different places, different stories, similar descriptions. Scientists have proposed multiple explanations over the years. Piezoelectric effects from quartz-bearing rock, radon gas emissions, triboelectric charging from grinding fault surfaces. The mystery keeps shifting. What makes Summerville unusual is the frequency. This isn't a place waiting for the next big earthquake. This is a place experiencing constant microseismic activity, tiny tremors, constant stress, ongoing release. The ghost story persists because it fills a need. The widow searching for her husband gives the light a purpose, a reason, an emotional weight that statistics about fault lines can never carry. There's something in us that prefers the grieving widow to the subvertical fault. We want the mystery to mean something. We want the dead dad to have reasons for coming back. Some residents resist the scientific explanation. They see it as an attempt to strip the mystery from their community's heritage. The light belongs to them. The story is theirs to tell. But Hough's research doesn't really kill the ghost. It offers something stranger. The idea that the earth itself produces light. That the ground remembers trauma. That stones can glow with accumulated stress. The 1886 Charleston earthquake killed over 60 people. It damaged buildings across the southeast. The ground liquefied in places. And something in the deep rock has never stopped moving since. Every few months, a tremor ripples through Summerville. Too small to feel. Too small to report. But not too small to stress the rock. Release the gas. Charge the buried metal. Not too small to make light. Hough's paper appeared in January 2025, published by the Seismological Society of America. It doesn't claim to prove anything. It proposes. It suggests. It opens a door that 70 years of ghost stories never could. If you find yourself in Summerville, the old railroad corridor between Charleston and the town still exists. People still go there after dark. They still see things they can't explain. Whether you're looking for earthquake science or a grieving widow, the light doesn't care what you believe. It appears when it wants to. It moves how it chooses. It keeps its own schedule. Bring a camera if you go. The lights have been photographed before, blurry, indistinct, but real enough to capture. Maybe you'll add to the record. Maybe you'll see nothing at all. Consider this the next time you hear about ghost lights. Anywhere the Marfa lights, the Paulding light, the Min Min lights of Australia. The earth has more ways to glow than we understand. The intersection of folklore and geology reveals something important. Natural phenomena can be stranger than anything we imagine. The ground moves. The stones remember. Sometimes they light up the dark. If stories like this keep you up at night, consider subscribing. We look for the places where science and the unexplained meet. That border territory where the rational world grows thin. The widow in the story never got closure. Her husband died on the tracks. She searched and searched. The legend says she's still searching. Maybe that's the part that matters most. We tell ghost stories because something in us needs them. The dead don't just disappear. The traumatic events leave traces. The ground holds memory. The air holds grief. Whether the Summerville light is a widow's lantern or an electromagnetic discharge, it serves the same function. It marks a place where something happened. Something that hasn't quite ended. The train stopped running decades ago. The tracks were pulled up or left to rot. But people still come here after dark. They still wash the tree line. They still wait. There's no guarantee you'll see anything. Witnesses describe the light as unpredictable. It appears some nights and not others. It moves according to rules no one understands. Hough herself hasn't seen the Summerville light. She works from data seismic records, geological surveys, historical reports. She connects patterns that others missed. The pattern she found isn't proof. It's correlation. The earthquakes happened. Then the sightings started. The geology fits the model. The buried metal adds another variable. But science requires more than fit. Until someone captures the light during a documented seismic event, measures the electromagnetic field, analyzes the gas composition, the earthquake light hypothesis remains exactly that. A hypothesis. The widow doesn't need proof. She exists in the space between observation and explanation. In the stories passed down through generations. In the teenagers who park on dark roads and wait. Here's what we know for certain. Something appears in those woods. Witnesses across 7 decades describe similar phenomena. The explanations vary. The observations persist. The grieving widow might be electromagnetic radiation from stressed rock. The lantern might be methane igniting in the night air. The ghost might be the earth itself, glowing with the memory of earthquakes past. The Summerville light doesn't need us to believe in it. It doesn't need an explanation. It appears in the darkness along the old railroad tracks, and it disappears when it's ready. The rest is stories. Whether it's the dead reaching back, or the living earth breathing fire, something haunts those woods outside Charleston. It has for 70 years. It probably will for 70 more. The trains don't run there anymore. But the tracks still hold their iron. The fault lines still shift in the dark. And somewhere out there, in the space between science and story, a light still moves through the trees.